Welcome to Discovering. The Michigan DNR Fisheries Department stocks lakes throughout the Upper Peninsula. Tonight we join them on one of their more remote missions, and that's stocking Mirror Lake in the heart of the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park.
Here in the Porcupine Mountains, Mirror Lake, you can come into here. There are cabins that you can rent. You can fish trout in a wilderness setting. That's really unique. This is probably the only place in the state that you can see that.
And we go ice fishing for Splake on another lake.
There we go, we got him.
So sit back and relax. It's Monday night, and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
It's a mild, late winter day in the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park. A perfect day to go for a snowmobile ride. But this isn't a joyride through the beautiful landscape. It's a mission to transport 3,000 yearling splake to one of the least accessible lakes in Michigan, Mirror Lake.
Yeah, the Porkies is definitely a fishing destination. We've got a lot of great rivers in the park that have different runs, primarily in the spring. Nice steelhead runs that happen. If the timing's right, you can catch a good pink salmon run. Smelt in the spring, of course, that everyone likes. Plenty of suckers. If you like to bottom fish and just catch some fish with the kids is easy. But one of the coolest places is out at Mirror Lake. It's the shortest route is about a 3-mile hike. There's a few different trails that'll take you out to Mirror Lake. It's definitely in the heart of the Porkies. At that area, we've got 6 different campsites that are all reservable. You can make a reservation 6 months in advance. So there's 3 campsites on the north shore of Mirror Lake and 3 on the south side. And then in addition, some unique features are we have 3 different cabins. Each cabin has a canoe or a variety of rowboats. So you can get out on the lake, and that's really the way you want to get out there to go fishing.
And the Splake plant just provides something for people to fish for once they hike back there. And according to, the logbooks that are at those cabins, it sounds like people do fish quite a bit and they do catch these fish. So we're seeing survival at least for a year or 2 post-stocking. So it seems to be something people enjoy, and it provides a pretty, like I say, unique opportunity compared to a lot of other places.
Our trout inland fisheries are really special. We stock them with hopes that people can make memories, catch these fish, love the outdoors and the fishing just like I have while I grew up here in the UP.
The Fisheries Department and the park have a partnership that allows them to transport the fish by snowmobile to the interior of the park, because this way will have the least impact on the environment and hiking trails.
Because it's a wilderness, trying to keep with kind of the no trace ethic of a wilderness, we don't want to be going in there with 4-wheelers and leaving, 4-wheeler tracks and rutted up roads, stuff like that. So by using these machines, using the snowmobiles and the sleds, it limits the impacts that we're going to have on the trails and on the park.
Yeah, so this is definitely a unique experience and a unique partnership that we've had with Fisheries Division for decades going back, where the park rangers work with the fish staff and the fish hatchery. They rear the fish, they raise the fish, they bring them here. And we go in the winter time so that we don't disturb the ground. We're not rutting things up. It's the easiest time on the fish for getting them in that cold water, and they can assimilate to that lake system in the winter months. So it's been great working with those folks from Fisheries out of the Crystal Falls office and the Marquette Hatchery. And so that we can, basically fulfill our mission statement to provide recreational opportunities for the guests coming out here to the Porcupine Mountains.
Stocking remote lakes requires a lot of logistics and setup. Today, 3 snowmobiles pulling over 800 pounds of water, fish, and oxygen tanks need to travel 14 miles down a snowmobile trail and through the forest. What could possibly go wrong?
We go through all this effort because of the value of this fishery. This is probably one of the more arduous fish plants that we do in the state. There's risk. There's mechanical risk. You know, we're bringing these fish in with this snowmobile. We can get overheat. We can blow a belt. We can break down.
The trail conditions is a big one. If it gets real warm, the trail tends to deteriorate on us. It gets soft. Machines get stuck. You run the risk of your sleds with your fish tipping over, which thankfully has only happened once in the time I've done this. So yeah, the big one is, you know, machine breakdowns or machines getting stuck or losing your fish. This is the system we use to haul our splake out into Mirror Lake. Oxygen tank, regulator, and then a flow meter tells us how much oxygen's going into the tank. So we've got air stones in every tank, just puts out little tiny micro bubbles that aerate the water for the fish for the ride in. We get around 3,000 fish annually for this plant, so we're gonna put about 1,000 fish in each tank. We try to only do one trip in and out of the lake if we can, just to keep impacts to a minimum, brings down the chance of accidents. You know, every trip in, there's a chance something's gonna go wrong. So we try to do them all in one trip, keep everybody as safe as possible, keep the fish as safe as possible. This tank will hold that 1,000 fish pretty easily, especially we'll run the oxygen pretty high, make sure they stay good and oxygenated, stay healthy in there. The time in the tank we want to keep to a minimum, but generally that hasn't been a problem. It's about 10 miles just down South Boundary Trail to the trailhead into Mirror Lake, and from there it's about 4 miles into the lake that we'll go through the back country. And then we cut a hole yesterday. We came in, broke the trail open, cut our hole, so today we can just pull up, dump the fish in the hole, watch them swim away.
The fish that we stock here are called yearlings. They were born about a year ago, February. Normally these fish should be stocked out in about 2 more months, but because we're doing this under the ice, we have to have ice.
Try to do this as early as possible so we get the best trail conditions we can get. The delay kind of comes in, we have to get the fish health tested before we stock them, and they can't be health tested till they're a certain age or a certain size. So we got to get them to there to get them health tested, and we can't go until the health test comes back. So it's kind of a collaboration between DNR Fish Division, DNR Park staff, and then our hatchery staff. We're all kind of trying to collaborate. You know, the park is out helping us break trail ahead of time. We use some of their machines to haul the fish. They come with just to assist if anybody does get stuck or needs some help on the way in.
We didn't make it to Mirror Lake without casualty. One hitch broke and a tank overturned. The tank lost some water and only a couple fish escaped. By the time we came around the corner, the guys had the tank upright and were strapping it all back together. Within minutes, we were back on track, and the fish, hopefully, not too shook up. Fishery techs moved quickly to scoop the fish from the overturned tank into the lake, and thankfully the majority looked good.
Absolutely nothing wrong with them. Those loading densities are perfect.
Nice.
They hauled great. That's what you want to see when you get your fish in.
Nice.
A reaction to stimulus. They're down. They're not looking for air.
If they stay up high, then you get concerned.
Mirror Lake is an 83-acre lake with a max depth of 40 feet. It is fed by the Little Carp River, which is also its only outlet. Old records show that the Little Carp River and Mirror Lake were stocked with brook trout as early as the 1920s. The Porcupine Mountains became a state park in 1945.
The majority of the fish in this lake are stocked. There are a few resident brook trout. The stream that leaves here does have a few brook trout in it. And every so often a brook trout will show up.
In the mid-1980s, the Michigan DNR stocked brook trout for a few years, And since 1997, it has been stocking the lake with approximately 3,000 splake almost every year. Splake are a hybrid trout, resulting from the cross of a male brook trout and a female lake trout. They grow at a faster rate and survive longer than stocked brook trout.
The brook trout didn't provide a quality fishery. They didn't survive in sufficient numbers. So we use splake. And splake are a little more aggressive. They grow a little faster. They achieve a little bit larger size. They're more piscivorous by nature. That means they eat minnows and that a little more readily. Brook trout are a beautiful fish, but they just didn't perform as well. And so we tried another fish and it met the needs. The minute those fish are in that hole, I'm never happier, because there's that stress, that we could have a breakdown, could have a mishap, side of the trail could give out and tip something out. We don't want to lose those fish. We want to get them in here. So you'll never see me happier than right now.
There's so much fishing up here in the UP. There's so many places to go. It's definitely a beautiful area. Google Maps, I've got a bunch of marks, places I want to go, places I've been. It's just never ending. I fly fish primarily, and with ice fishing, spin fishing, places I want to hit with my canoe. I love fishing for smallmouth. That's a blast, especially on a fly rod. This lake, I want to come back with my fly rod and cast for musky. So I'm going to hook it right here, right behind the fin, without paralyzing it, so it's very active. A little weight that's going to make this guy go down to the bottom. He'll have some freedom to swim above that weight and wait. And hopefully we're calling flag and running. We'll see. Just because he was here a couple days ago doesn't mean he's here today, but we'll see. They're pretty territorial, so I'm crossing my fingers we're gonna find this big fish. Okay, now we can head over here and hopefully hook into some splake. Yeah, the sun feels great. It's one nice thing about March. I'm sure glad we're out here today and not yesterday. Oh my, wow, that wind. Okay, be ready. Serious, as soon as I dropped this last time, it was just, they were there. The lure I'm using too is a glow. Oh, there's already a fish. See? See, there's my lure above it, and it's right on it. There we go, fish. Feels small, but we'll see. Yep, that didn't take long at all. There we go, a little splake. Thank you. Thank you for being cooperative. Try and get this out of your mouth. There we go. They're pretty skinny, winter skinny. They're a pretty little guy. But see how the tail's split here? That's a definitive splake right there. So if this was a brook trout, it would be a little more square in the tail. It has a very similar marking to a brook trout. Brook trout are usually a little more vibrant, real red, and this does have the white tip. But it definitely is very similar to a brook trout. But it looks, in order to keep, he has to be 8 inches, and it's 10. One above me, there's one right down below me. I see you. You're like, nope. Oh, we got a little lockjaw happening right now. A little buffet of flavor. Yep. Ah, oh, missed. Just a little tug. There we go. About the same size. This might be a little bigger. He might be a keeper. Yeah, he's definitely over 8. He's about the same size as the last one, about 10. Give my mom another fresh trout dinner. I usually release, but since I'm up here in the UP with my family, my mother loves a fresh fish dinner. So I usually I don't really stock my freezer, but when I know I can cook something up and have a nice meal, then I'll periodically keep. Especially when I'm fly fishing, I always let everything go. I don't feel anything though. Maybe it was just a minnow. Not as deep. And hopefully we get one cruising through. The Musky story. So I'm fishing away and I look over, flag up. I go over there, pull on the line. It's like I'm pulling on a big log. I'm like, am I snagged? I'm like, no, I can't be snagged. Pull some more. I'm like, geez, it's hardly budging. And then I realized it's like, no, I'm definitely not snagged because the line went down through the hole and then cut directly over like 80, 90 degrees. And I pull and realize it's moving a little bit, but I only have one hole. And I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to get it through an 8-inch hole, big fish. I muscled it and it was a small treble. I ended up pulling it out because I was originally I was hoping lake trout. So then I drilled another hole side by side. So I had 2 side-by-side 8-inch holes, put on a bigger treble hook, a bigger minnow, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, flag. Went back over there, same thing, it's the same fish. It's like pulling on a log. I can't move this beast. It is a beast of a fish. I think it had itself right up under the ice, and I kept pulling, and finally I pulled so hard that the hook bent. And then it was gone. So twice I've had this massive, I'm 99% sure it was a big muskie. There we go. Well, that feels like a little decent one. Little Splake. That, a little adrenaline, that anticipation. It is exciting. It's like, okay, there's a fish, and then it's like, wait. Oh, yep, it's thinking about it. There's a little bite. There's a bite. There, see? Oh, I missed it. Darn it. The agony of defeat. The fish is still there, though. Tug, it wants that worm. Come on, take it. There we go, we got him. And I think I got him on my transducer. But I don't want to lose you. Oh, darn, we lost it. I should have pulled this out. Try and keep it over here on this side of the hole, away from the transducer. There we go. Sometimes you get a couple fish in a hole, they kind of shut down. There we go. About 5 feet off the bottom. This one feels a little nicer. Oh yeah. There you go. They're definitely consistent in size. I go all the way to the bottom. Oh, this is a good one. Well, can you grab the transducer? Yeah, this is a good one. Oh, this is the best fish I've caught here so far. Oh, it's a big bass. Look at you. Oh, God. I wonder why you're so heavy. I wish it was 20 inches though, but I don't think it is. No, it's 19. We need 20-inch for our Master Angler program. Oh, and I cannot tell you how many 19-inch bass I've caught. This is another one. Probably the first time I went ice fishing, I guess 3 years ago. There are some subtle differences, but as long as you understand fish, their habitats, how to fish. Know your rigging, know your lures. It's just fishing. I mean, I think ice fishing's harder though. There's a lot more gear. I think it's a little more physically demanding. But it's fun. I mean, look at where we are. It's beautiful.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.